Why don't we get this show on the road, and we will start as usual with interviews to boards and commissions. Let me find my right sheet. Melissa Downs is here with us to interview for the position on the Business Development Commission. Just so you all know, there's expected to be another interview December 3rd as well. Okay. So Melissa, if you would just come on up right here. For those of you who don't know, well, I'm gonna let you tell them who you are and what you do. They all should have read already,
Yeah.
but
I'm Melissa Downs. My husband and his brother and I own Cyrano's. So we inherited it from his parents who's opened this location. So I actually started working there before we were opened when I was a student at Webster University. And I've been managing for about 15 years now. So I'm the general manager and owner. And yeah, that's kind of who I am. We moved to Webster about a year and a half ago. My daughter goes to Bristol. So.
why do you want to be in the business development?
Well, my father-in-law had served on it previously many years ago. And actually Betty from Betty's Books, you know, there was a position open, so she was the one that brought it to my attention. But you know, I have always been responsible for kind of promoting the restaurant. You know, I handle all the advertising and stuff like that, and I kind of feel like advertising is not what it used to be as far as like getting exposure for like businesses. You know, people just don't do as much print stuff, you know, things like that. But you know, I find that events and things that bring, you know, we already have a really great base of customers from Webster, you know, but I feel like, you know, in order to keep the business going, you always have to expose new people, and the best way to do that is to have more community-wide events that bring people into the community as opposed to just like to your restaurant. I know that in the past 20 years, watching especially Old Orchard develop a lot more with more restaurants and more stores, I feel like it's brought, you know, as opposed to like competition from other restaurants taking business away, it actually feels like it increases it. People see Webster more as a destination to come into shop, to eat at the restaurants. So I feel like the more you grow that, the more people you attract to your community. And I'd like to, you know, be part of that.
Excellent. Does anyone have any questions for Melissa?
I don't have a question, but I just have an observation that
Yes.
that there aren't often restaurants who are able to have the bandwidth and the timing to be able to contribute to the boards and commissions. So I'm thrilled to see your application.
Yeah, Betty said they were looking for a restaurant person, and you know, we're lucky that, I mean, we just have Cyrano, so we're not like spread too thin. And actually my sister works there and my sister-in-law, so it's like a big family, you know, support system. So it gives me the time to kind of try to do other things and so
Awesome. That's great. Thanks.
Excellent. All right. Well, thank you.
thank you.
Go on to your daughter, and we'll be in touch. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
I think we'll just go ahead and talk about this right now, since I know we have plenty of things to do. Reappointment Board of Adjustment, Randy Sprague was filling the remainder of a term for a member who resigned, and he would like to be considered for reappointment. Is there any objection to him filling a full term? Okay. And as I said, we'll come back on December 3rd and figure out about BDC, because we should have one more interview. All right, issues and updates, right? Oh no, review regular agenda, that's it. Anybody have anything for the regular agenda they'd like to change, add, subtract?
Mayor, under new business, I believe we're gonna do a flood update.
Yep, and that is written on my agenda, so that's good. All right, so maybe I don't have that with me yet. Okay. We'll worry about me later. Issues and updates. Emerson, why don't we start with you so I don't forget the person who's online?
All right, thank you, Mayor. Just a quick update. I did attend the NLC conference last week. It was their celebrating their 100th year. So they was giving $100 out to every person that attended. So you guys missed out. That was a joke.
Yeah, let's have that on record, please.
No, this conference was really good. I did identify 3 of the sessions I attended that I thought was very enlightening. One was the discussion of social equity. He presented a roadmap with using data, the data approach trying to shorten the cycle between identifying community needs and by using data and to support operational actions. So that was very interesting. Also, there was a session talking about public safety and crime prevention. And so fortunately, I was able to speak out that we had made some ordinances with our gun control, and everyone was interested in that. We also talked about disaster preparedness, juvenile justice, substance abuse, and crime prevention. Those were tied into the public safety conversation. In the last session, well, not the last one I attended, but the most well attended, and it actually went an hour and a half. It went over an hour from the scheduled time with a discussion about moving the needle on NIMBY. I'm sure everybody know what that means. Not in my backyard.
Yes, NIMBY.
So it was a very enlightening and heavy discussion with the participants. It was they were surprised it was standing room only in that room, but it's surrounded by what how IMBY was affecting city progress and what to do about it. And it was specifically looking at housing and how to bring forward affordable housing and different options in the communities. So it appears that there was a lot of cities and communities that was facing pushback on trying to bring in affordable housing into their area. So, but good session, and glad I went. And that is all I have, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilmember Alexander, would you like to be next?
Historic preservation met, and there was actually quite a bit of conversation around their plans to start their subcommittee for the conservation, putting together a proposal for creating conservation districts and whatever. And a couple of the things that was suggested is from a perspective of trying to share with even other committees and everything what they're doing, and just getting a support from the ground up. Is like if there was a possibility to have the city council liaisons to mention at their commission meetings what the HPC is doing, and also just having an opportunity to share with other commissions, or what they talked about a potential citywide commission summit, where, because apparently there was one where they had like the committee chairs there
Yeah,
previously, and they thought it was very good. It was very productive, and just thought that was potentially just another good thing to do so that the committee members have an opportunity to discuss what they're doing with each other, and to make sure that for one thing, there's not overlap. If there's common things that they're doing, that maybe they could collaborate rather than run the chance if you got two different avenues running parallel trying to meet the same goals. And then I also did talk to them about the need to, as they determine who's going to be on their committee. There's 4 of them. And then I was real clear with them that they had to make sure that they weren't running afoul of any sunshine requirements, and there needed to be minutes, and they needed to keep track of if once you have a quorum, or once you have 4.
A quorum.
Okay. And so but I told them that they had to be conscious of that, make sure they're keeping minutes, make sure that they are sharing the contents, and that would have to be available to anybody that asks for it. And so they're going to start, but the big thing I was telling them is make sure that we need to have interim updates to the council so that they don't get too far down the road with what they're doing, before, and then get stopped later by saying, oh, no, you can't do this, you can't do that, so.
And anything that they want to send to council, they have to send to the full HPC first.
Okay, right, exactly, and we talked about that,
Yeah.
that once they meet, then they have to meet with the full HPC about what they're doing, and then once they're in agreement and all of that, then they would need to reach out to, who to
They-
get on the agenda.
They have the form, all chairs should have the form, we talked about it in our chairs meeting, all of you on the city council page through our, what am I trying to say, Teams, what is our?
SharePoint. Through the
SharePoint, thank you, couldn't come up with that, we also have access to that, there's a form, they just fill it out. And their staff liaison it goes first to Marie, and then Marie can take a look at it.
And that
because-
form is where? I'm sorry, I should probably know, but I don't.
It's on SharePoint.
Okay.
I can send you a link to it. It's on SharePoint.
Okay. All right, but that's all I got.
Thank you. Jamie.
Yes, we had a flood a couple of weeks ago, and I just want to acknowledge the work that's been put in by the staff here. And just a note of appreciation for the tireless work and ongoing. So thanks, and thanks for the survey. I thought that was really smart so that we can start keeping track of things. Another city thing with it. Oh, and just like also the response to citizens' concerns with the lag time of our inspections and that sort of thing. So some like really responsive actions. So thanks for that. It's greatly appreciated and noticed by our community. And I was able to go with Laura to the high school last week and spend some fun time hours talking to
Many hours.
many hours. The junior class, they're now requiring all juniors to take a government class. So we have the full spectrum of kiddos who weren't so interested to AP, and it was a fun day, and Laura and I dressed alike on accident, like we're been married for 25 years or something.
It was not a good look.
It's so funny. It's very cute.
There were, none of us was high school kids.
You look like a team, your
Yeah,
team.
we're a team.
Were there
There's
pictures?
There's one pic.
Okay.
That's all I have.
Bam.
Let's see, I met with, Old Orchard has met and Sustainability has met since our last meeting. Actually, Sustainability twice since we've given an update, but I wanted to let you know that the two collections that we had, one was the pumpkin smash, that was extended by a week. And they had quite a bit more than half of the dumpster was filled. And actually it kind of doubled in that extra week's time.
Nice.
So they were really happy about that. And then this was also the first year they had done an election sign collection. And there were two locations for that, one at Southwest Park and one at the Service Center, where they collected the plastic signs and the stakes. And from what I understand is that Service Center was full and Southwest Parks was about halfway full.
I was hoping that they bought another bucket,
Bought another
some
bucket.
more boxes down, because it was kind of short time, it filled up pretty good, it went pretty quick down there.
Yeah. Yes. But they did acknowledge that maybe some people had their stored plastic that they had brought from older signs.
I did.
Yeah, because that's what I was gonna bring.
Yeah.
Yeah, I brought my destination WG one.
And then let's see, what else? They are organizing, kind of as a result of the skepticism that's out there about recycling, are things really recycled and what really happens? They're putting together a day at Republic Services, even though Waste Management collects it, Republic Services processes the recycling, and so they're putting together a tour of that facility in Hazelwood. And it's essentially for the commission. And then any one of us that wants to attend, that it's limited to 12 people, so there's about room for 4 to 6 more. And then they need to carpool up there, because there's only 5 parking spots. So if you're interested, please let John Hickey know. The event's on December 5th at 1:30. And if you're interested in attending, to meet here at 1 o'clock in the City Hall parking lot, and everybody will go. You can let John know, then he'll be able to keep the count limited. Then a few weeks ago, I attended the Greater St. Louis Inc. Regional Economic Outlook Breakfast, which was up at the airport. About 450 people attended, and it's essentially a consortium of regional or municipal chambers of commerce, and the speaker was from the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. So that was really, it's an incredibly well-attended event. And essentially the GDP for St. Louis is kind of outpacing our rank in size. We're 16th in GDP. And we're like 45th in size area. So that's pretty cool. And then finally, Old Orchard, their holiday festival is coming up on December 7th. And that'll be from 10 to 5 p.m. in Old Orchard. Stores will be having swag bags and discounts. Santa will be there for kids and dogs. They're going to show the Polar Express at 3 o'clock and a tree lighting at 5.
Are we marketing that?
And we are marketing it. And I could probably safely say this is probably one of Eric's last contributions to our calendar. So it's just nice to know that we're carrying on with this work in his memory, honor. Celebration spirit. Anyway, it's just nice to know that he put this together and it's gonna be taking place. And that's all I have.
Can I ask how we're marketing that? Because I feel like the one in Old Webster was not well marketed.
I know that they're doing the blurb in the page, the full page, what's happening in Webster. There will be social media. Renee, do you know anything else?
Yes,
Okay.
so aside from social, all of our social platforms, including our website, we will also be doing some blast out.
What does blast out mean?
Blast out means I'm asking that we do some notify me, using our notify
Oh,
me
okay.
to, I'm sorry, in other places I call it no blast.
Yeah.
Also, I'm not sure, but I do believe we're going to be running some ads, news ads. So that should start taking place probably towards the end of next week. Tiara has a formula for that, so you don't want to do it too early. And you don't want to do it too frequently.
Yeah.
There are also posters. They distribute
And
those.
flyers, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, and Fran is our staff liaison on that, so she's got a process.
Thank
You're welcome.
David, why don't you just continue on?
you. I got nothing, Madam Mayor. I just
That was
like
easy.
I just like to
Asking
ask questions.
questions.
Criticize when I'm at it.
You're right.
I'm excited to go next.
Emily.
Green Space, the update from that is that we have some open positions on Green Space and other boards and commissions too. So just a general update for the community to look for opportunities or they might be interested in serving.
There are a couple, I do have a couple applications for Green Space.
That's great,
So,
yeah.
For December 3rd, probably.
Awesome, so I'm excited about that. Plan Commission also met the day before our last council meeting, and I think as we're aware, the Plan Commission passed on the Children's KBC joint project, and that'll be coming to us in early January, but I know a lot of us were there for all or part of it. I definitely encourage community too to watch that November 4th session. There was a lot of information, lots of questions and comments from community at the beginning, and then in the last part, some really good responses, especially from the and good by meaning a lot of information in, a lot of details covered, a lot of FAQs in the latter part of that meeting. So I think it's definitely worth a watch. And then last night was the Traffic Advisory Commission. I said it
Thank you.
for you. Yeah, it was good. That's a good active commission. One update that I think everybody will be excited about in the community is with Public Works and Snun, there's a new crosswalk that they just put in on Kirkham by Denver. And that is great for that area. So that's really exciting. The big topic of conversation last night was with, and Assistant Chief Weimer brought this up, the kind of bringing it back from council to tack on the parking overall plan. I think we had some questions about, what does it mean? Like, how would we implement it? How would that be phased? What would that look like? And so we've kind of tasked them with, can they come up with not necessarily dates and timelines, but like an order of events of how they would propose that be rolled out, like which neighborhoods, what tasks need to be done in what order. So they're gonna put together, I think they decided on a subcommittee versus a working group, and come back to TAC with that, and then come back to council with kind of, here's how we envision it rolling out, so that we can move forward with our recommendations with that information.
Okay.
So hopefully that's on the right track, and if it's not on the right track, we can let Assistant Chief know or get back to the chair. But for me, in my memory of talking about it at council, that felt like the direction that we wanted them to kind of go. But there was a lot of discussion about what they should do versus staff, and I think they're very sensitive about not stepping on staff toes, which I appreciate. But I think that there's work that they can do as a commission that will complement staff's work and not be set up. So looking forward to having that come back.
Excellent. No, not time for what you remembered yet.
Not forgetful. Okay, sorry.
I'll do most of the flood updates during regular session. I will say thank you for the accolades to staff. You mentioned the survey, so just a quick reminder for people to do the flood survey in the community. It really helps. We'll be using that information internally, mostly to cross-reference with our stormwater master planning, along with, we're going to share the information with other entities, MSD, SEMA. Can't promise what they'll use it for, but we will internally use it, so it's very helpful. Chief Acivus really helped spearhead that, so I want to give him kudos and huge thanks that week. As I was out, Deputy City Manager Renee Tyler really helped keep things on the track. So there was a lot of internal work and still going on. So just thank you.
All right, Mr. City Attorney.
I collaborated with Councilman Franklin and I too had nothing.
Do you have a criticism?
I have no criticism.
Madam City Clerk. Now, you want me to take that?
Take it on.
Okay, good. Take it to me. Okay. Just I have a few things. I did meet with, we had our visit from Kalia, the police accreditation entity, and the inspector. I don't know what you call him. That sounds very. He seemed very happy with what he was finding here, and I look forward to us hearing the final report. But it was a very positive meeting, and he had very good things to say about our department. So that was great. Katie and I have been talking about, so January 7th is when we're scheduled to hear the KBC Children's Hospital proposal. The last meeting here was overflowing in council chambers. So when we anticipate a very large meeting like that, we can move to the rec center and use the rec center meeting rooms. Everybody's just more comfortable. People can make it in there. We have rentals in the rec center rooms right now for that night. Scott has said that he can make some provisions to accommodate us to use that room. I'm just checking with you all. It seems to me that better to be safe and have a bigger space than to try and pack everyone in here. Is there anyone has other thoughts on that? Yes.
And I haven't discussed this with Katie, so throwing it out there. If there's another entity, Webster University or somewhere, that might be a little better. The sound system at Parks and Rec is incredibly difficult, and it's not good for recording. So that's something that we're working on in the next budget cycle. But I think this is a meeting that we definitely want to have, make sure all of our sound is working.
Okay, well, why don't we, are we good with finding a bigger space,
Yeah,
I guess
sure.
that's the
Yeah,
question. And we'll try and figure out what that is. I don't, we'll have to figure out whether it matters to have a public hearing, not on public property, but I don't know.
It should be.
Does it?
Doesn't matter.
Okay, all right.
No, we
As,
have.
as
Okay,
long
well
as it's
then-
noticed up, that's all you have to do.
Yeah, then we will turn this over to you all and we'll find a place and make sure we can record and have good sound and that it is at least bigger than here. So that we can have better seating and we will, I think, try and nail this down soon so that we have to have it for the public hearing notice, right? We gotta give them the location of the hearing, so we should let you all know soon. All right, I think that's it. Now is time for this, for if you forgot something.
Just two quick things, sorry. I attended the East West Gateway Annual Luncheon on behalf of Webster. I was also really excited to be there because my friend who I was able to nominate was awarded one of the Olga Awards, Jean Ponzi. So that was really special to be there. And the open house, the Old Webster open house was hopping. Climate change really works out in those scenarios when it's 60 degrees on November weekend, but it was great. And interesting that you brought that up, David, about the outreach or the social media presence. I didn't feel like it was communicated well enough, and I don't, and that could just be my limited access to the socials that I follow, but yeah, I would have loved to see a little more boosting on that. But yeah, but it was a great turnout.
Just a reminder, the comprehensive plan survey is open through Friday, so.
Yeah, and I know
November
there was-
22nd, journey to WG.
Yeah, and there was just a new social media
Yes,
round.
that is good. I've
yeah.
seen several.
Yes,
of
I have
those.
seen that a lot.
But out there for me to remember to do.
Thank you very much for that. All right, we only have one topic for tonight. You all received the memo a month ago and then again last week, in which I sort of did my very best to make some sense out of all of our different ranking schemes of objectives, or goals and tactics for the upcoming year. And so what you have in front of you is well, most of you have in front of you in some form or another, that document and its funny color coding scheme. But what a couple of things. One is, let's remember we need a consensus of council for this to become, something that we ask staff to really work on. No single member gets one thing on just because they want it to be on. We are a majority rule body, which is why I put the number of people who listed things in the color coding there. What I'd like for us to do tonight is review the choices that were submitted, not necessarily every single one, by the way, but what I think we should do is start with the ones that have more than one member who have suggested that that's something to see if there are other people who would like to boost that into a consensus realm there. What we would do then is turn over our document, whatever slimmed down version of this, right? Because this is still too much for us to ask, I think, of staff right now. Turn it over to the staff because, as I understand it, departments are having some of their own leadership time, and let them then take a look at this and help us understand what is actually feasible for them to accomplish over the next year and what that timetable might look like. Right, and obviously there's gonna have to be some flexibility. This is what we would like them to focus on. We don't control things like the weather, so we'll have to show some flexibility into what staff can work on. Is that an okay game plan for everyone? Now, last time I did this, the game plan, no one seemed to understand. So the idea, one more time, we'll look at actually, I would say, so if you have your document, the ones that are in green, 4 member or more members listed that as a priority. I don't even think we need to talk about those because that's already a consensus to council. So let's just put the green ones aside. If we can spend some time looking at the blue and the orange ones to see if there are things that really there is a consensus of council that we should move forward on, then I think that's where we probably should spend our time. We'll put that document together, turn it over to staff. They will reflect on that and give us timetable and feasibility. The one also additional caveat is a lot of these are connected to the comprehensive plan. So they can stay on the list, but we know they can't really be worked on for the next 6 months because we don't have a comp plan back yet and won't have one for quite a while. Does all of that make sense?
Mhm.
Okay. So since the blue, and the blue didn't turn out very well if you print it. But if we go through blue first, strategical area number 4, I believe, is the first one with the blue item, and that's number 22. Create a long-term plan for revenue growth and sectors for concentration. Revenue growth. Right, so we have not quite a majority of council who put this as a priority for the upcoming year. Yes, Emerson.
Well, I think it is important because that's our ongoing objective is to create new revenue growth. So I don't, it might not made it to the green, but I think it's something that the administration and the council should continue to work on without it, I guess, being an accepted goal, I guess. Yeah, I would like to still see the finance department and the administration and the council to work on a long-term plan for the revenue growth.
I'm going to say that a lot of the rest of the stuff that's on here, we're not going to get done unless we focus on long-term revenue stability.
Right.
It's a chicken and egg thing though to me, because it seems like if we concentrate on the other things, the revenue growth follows. But I also understand that if you concentrate on the revenue comprehensive plan, the other things follow.
I'm not sure that, well, there are a number of these things that actually are going to take revenue, not generate revenue.
Yeah.
But I agree with you that some of them, if we do them well, should generate revenue. Yeah.
Can I ask just a clarifying question, because I think there has been talk about, what those grand ideas could be, right? Of revenue growth or revenue
We have not,
opportunities?
and the rest of the council can weigh in here. I don't think we've had a systematic discussion of what the revenue opportunities are. For instance, what kinds of, and again, I don't want to panic anyone in the public because I'm not suggesting any of these things, but we don't know what available sales tax room we have. We don't know what kind of property things we've got a report about the idea of some sort of impact fee. So I think we've had dribs and drabs, but we really haven't thought very cohesively about what the options are.
So, like you mentioned, sales tax. I mean, is that something that so that hasn't been discussed? Like, because I understand that Webster's sales tax is lower than our kind of neighboring municipalities.
So, and it's not simply, I wish Gregory or Eric were here, or Matt Murray probably knows this, so excuse me for jumping past you. We have a state mandated ceiling on our sales tax, and we have different kinds of sales taxes. So the question is, we don't know where our opportunities to adjust those sales taxes.
I like this idea of doing a comprehensive review of what are the potential revenue growths, because I think the citizens are owed that in the aspect of is it potentially that we need to increase property taxes? Is it that we need to increase sales taxes? Do we need to sell land? Do we need to do X, Y, or Z? Everything that is the potential for revenue growth. I know that's extremely comprehensive and probably a lot of work, but I think that if we're gonna make any plans for almost any of this other stuff, we need to figure out, do we have enough money? And is there a potential to do it?
And tacking on to what David just said is that I believe some of our community members don't understand. We might have money in the bank, but that money might be strapped for something else that we can't spend it on because it was raised or charged for that specific task. Just because, say, for example, like the bond issue we just passed, it just passed. Well, that must be used for the bond issue. It can't be used for other things in the city. So that's one thing that I think we need to do to make sure we talk about revenue purposes, that if there was a sales tax, it's going to be a purpose for that sales tax. And we'll be obligated to put those funds to that particular project.
And I think it's important for us to just make sure we're looking at what other opportunities, especially from a commercial perspective, other areas to generate, because we can't tax our way out of this. We're already beat to hell on taxes for real estate, for homes, and so, even going through with the increase in sales tax. I mean, I just don't think we can continue to try to tax our way out of this, or, I just think that this is an opportunity for us to try to have a targeted conversation and review about how we can generate commercial other tax revenues to help to supplement what's currently on the backs of the residents from either a residential real estate tax perspective, and then now, if we're talking about a further sales tax, I mean,
it was an illustration of what the conversation would be about. Please, no one read me wrong. I'm not suggesting that we're increasing the sales tax.
I do want to, I really appreciate what you just said, Councilwoman, but I think that there is a perception that Webster has extremely high taxes. And that perception is, I think, a little bit misperceived. When you look at the county as a whole, our taxes aren't too much higher. I mean, we're not the number one and we're not at the bottom. We're in the middle somewhere. So I'm not saying I want to increase taxes. But all I'm saying is I think there's this misperception. I think any dollar that is misspent or misutilized is bad use of taxpayer money. But I do think that, and the BDC demonstrated this too with the sales tax, that we do have lower tax rate from a sales tax perspective than our surrounding communities. So I just think there's a misperception that Webster's extremely high taxes, both sales and property taxes. And I think that's a misguided or misperceived perception.
Well, but even with where it is, 70% of it goes to the school.
Absolutely.
So whatever we're bringing in.
But I'm just saying from a city perspective.
Yeah.
So why don't we suggest that part of this, I mean, in order to look at the alternatives, we have to understand the baseline, who we are relative to everybody else. So let me remind all of us, myself included, that we're not debating the substance of these issues. This is just about what we're turning over for staff to really work on, because we're gonna run out of time fast. But 4 of us now have said that that's a majority. So I'm gonna go ahead and move this up to the green category of that.
Can I make one note that
Please.
if we add more affordable housing stock or just other places for people to live, we're increasing our population, which helps bring more dollars here. So they are tied together.
Right. But I think that's a good point in that revenue isn't just about taxes or even fees. It's also, go ahead,
Population.
David.
I was just gonna say, I love the idea of bringing more people to Webster, like for making it a destination as we did with the bond. But the idea that we're gonna increase our population after it's been steady for the past 60 years seems kind of like a misnomer to me.
And let's have that debate when it's time to have the debate over the issue,
Okay.
as opposed to right now,
Okay.
because we're never gonna get through the rest of this.
Yeah, and I just want to make one more statement. I'm sorry,
So close.
but it says, I just want to make sure that we understand it. It says improve land use for revenue purposes,
Yes.
not just increasing
Yes.
taxes. It's
Better
and
utilization.
land use to get taxes.
Right.
Okay, the next blue one on this list is under goal area number 5, which is develop a citywide economic development plan, improved use, land use, destination retail. I'm
I feel
gonna,
like they go together.
Yeah.
they do, this also goes with the comprehensive plan. So to me, some of these that just tie in, I think we kind of just put them under the same heading. The other blue goes to the very last, the additional one that weren't in the categories we established, and that's the stormwater plans, implementation, and prioritization.
I'm already one of the 3, so I feel like I shouldn't say, I'm sure I must, I'll be number 4.
I don't.
I had to pull up my notes so I can remember. I'm not looking at my right.
Well, I know, yeah, so. And I'm
Oh,
pretty
there's
sure,
5 of us. Right?
For the
Oh,
blue.
no.
Blue.
I'm
Blue is
sorry,
3.
I'm looking at.
but part of me also, suggests that this just got hit us over the head again last week.
It's gonna keep.
I think it should stay up there.
All right, well, that's at least 4 as well. So I'm counting as people say.
Well, what hit us over the head?
Stormwater, the need for stormwater management. Okay, so that leaves the much longer list of orange.
Go back to the top.
Yeah, so if we go to, and actually, Dr. Peoples you might want to weigh on this, because I think under strategic goal area number 1, 22 and 23 about the use of magnet, my understanding is those are really already underway in the department itself.
So they are underway. I mean, much of the discussion is already underway, excuse me, like the stormwater master planning, it's
Yeah.
well underway. So a lot of this, which is the good news, is we're making great headway on many areas.
Okay, so I think we can skip that one since we know some progress is being made.
Can I ask this question? I've been a little confused by the permitting emails, and I'm sorry I haven't reached out, but can you explain what the streamlining has been?
So for magnets itself,
No, just permitting processes in general, because we've removed some of the need for permits.
we have,
And what kind of things have we removed the need for permits?
Not it's the inspection.
it's the
Sorry,
inspections,
sorry.
yeah,
Yeah,
so for inspection.
Yeah.
Permits are not as far along, and so there's a lot more work that needs to be done with permits. A lot of that goes between departments, public works planning, so some collaboration there. The biggest, from my perspective, win we can make is taking a lot of that online. We are so paper heavy in our processes. I don't know if
But-
that's really answering your question.
No, that's a great segue. I was just wondering, what inspections were once required or no longer required?
The press release that.
Sure, so fence inspections is one, and I'm sorry, I can't recall them. Fence inspections, small structures, I believe under 144 square feet are no longer required, like a pop-up shed, those sorts of things. Perhaps some re-inspections, like on retaining walls. I don't have the list in front of me, those sorts of
Gotcha.
things that a contractor was going to look at anyway, or that when we go back out. So people are still having to apply, if that makes sense. We're still tracking for whether there's complaints, code
Yeah.
enforcement problems later down the road. They're just not having to wait on us to do the inspection to move forward with their work.
Yeah. And then, see, this is, so. I guess the one that I was concerned about was the drywall inspections. That doesn't remove the need for electrical inspection?
It does not.
Oh,
It does not.
thank you.
Okay. If we move to strategic goal area number 2, item number 23, which is collaborate with city council on the creation of a diversity commission. And that is an ongoing process with a group of residents that Councilmember Smith, Councilmember Hassmeyer have been involved in. So I don't think my only point is I don't know that we need to make it a staff priority because it's not ready to go to staff anyway.
I agree.
Is that okay with everyone?
Which one was that one?
Number 23,
I got it.
And
And it's a proposal, it's not an action. We have to act on it.
I have a lot of questions, I'm sorry. So when we're looking at this diversity commission and the creation thereof, are we also looking at what can be removed from our current boards and commissions and can be enveloped into the diversity commission?
I don't think that the discussions are far enough along
Oh.
to even answer that question.
I just question staff time, resources.
Correct. And that's part of the reason I don't think it's ready for staff,
Yeah.
is that we don't really know what we're talking about yet.
Gotcha.
Number 3 area, goal area, item number 3. And again, this is one that I think is already underway, high quality streets, especially in conjunction with SS4A. Is there anything anyone wants to say that would make this more specific in what we're asking for? Are you looking at mine?
No, I just wanted to know what number you
All
are.
right here. Okay, then I'm moving on.
Can I just ask a quick
Sure.
question about that? And maybe Emily, did TAC bring up complete streets or anything like that? Is that conversation?
They just brought up the SS4A, that's
Okay.
moving forward, that's what they didn't really.
So-
talk about Complete Streets.
Yeah, so TAC more generally would like to continue to pursue complete streets, but I think I know that they're waiting to see where SS4A is going before they don't want to compete with SS4A, basically.
Okay, just wanted, that was,
Sure.
thank you.
Comprehensive plan implementation, pragmatic, purposeful land use, and North Old Webster plan. Again, I think that folds into our more general review of the comprehensive plan when it comes forward, and I have a feeling that we're gonna have a meeting when the comp plan is finished about what are our priorities coming out of the comp plan that we really want to focus based on their recommendations. So in my mind, that sort of waits until we get there, unless there's somebody who has other ideas.
Good with waiting.
So there are 2 more things down here, that were in orange. They were new. One is pursue impact fee for construction of large houses. I'm gonna suggest that we fold that into number 7, which is in green, because that's a whole bunch of zoning code amendments, and it
Yeah.
seems like it makes sense to just be paired with that. Because I think the planning department has to think about feasibility and timetable of those things at once. Is that okay?
That's good.
Madam Mayor, on that one and the next orange one, explore conservation districts, both of those were also, I don't want to preliminary speak and call them recommendations, but they're both items that were noted in the draft comprehensive plan presentation that everybody had. So I think there'll be some recommendations as we move forward there as well.
And that's what I was gonna say for the conversation. You and I are thinking exactly the same thing. Sorry.
That's
Pam.
why I responded, it's because they brought it up.
Okay.
But so we're saying that we are gonna fold that pursue an impact fee for construction into number 7.
Yeah.
Okay, and explore conservation districts.
It's folded into 9.
It's going into now, okay.
Look at us moving along here. Doesn't skip that whole next page. So on the last page, what you have, the last one in orange is dedicate that within 3 years, all major processes and operations can be effectively accomplished in a paperless manner.
Support that.
Yeah.
It wasn't on my list, but I definitely support that.
I'm just having a problem with the word all. I mean, that's a big task to convert all processes over to paperless manner in 3 years.
But it's layered, right? I mean, it's not all done at the same time.
Are there ones
Well, I
that
don't
you think
know,
are
I'm looking
ultimately
for
gonna
Marie
stay?
Well,
and Renee's face to
You know
see.
Let's remember our next step here is we're turning this over to staff for timelines and assessing feasibility, so they can define all for us. How
So
about
the
that?
3 and the all could be squishy.
Yeah, because it needs to be done, but for all, it's gonna take longer than 3 years.
Right, like what kind of runway are we talking about?
Exactly.
10 years? Is that,
Yeah, no, that's too long,
7?
but
Is
you
there
know,
stuff that has to stay paper?
right.
I know we're not wordsmithing, but I would say let's remove all, because I've never seen a truly all paperless.
Paperless,
process.
right,
Yeah,
yeah,
okay,
exactly.
fine.
I agree with that.
Only
Well, that was easy.
Uh-huh.
And you know, this is something I've been thinking about is maybe the Green Space or Sustainability Commissions can look into this, but what's our return on investment and all the money that we are putting into sustainability practices? Is there a return on investment that we can demonstrate to the community? Like, I think that there would be a return on investment in going paperless, maybe less storage, space,
Efficiency.
efficiency.
I think it's less of an environmental thing and more of an efficiency thing,
Yeah.
honestly.
But yeah, so like, that's the
I
question.
mean, I feel like the sustainability piece is a really nice byproduct.
Yeah.
of
Right.
a more efficient
This
process,
process,
which will save staff time.
absolutely.
And then I think that they're put my compliance hat on, but they're prioritized based on risk. You know, which things are more risky from a financial and, you know, perspective as well as, anyway, regulatory, financial, reputation, which things are more risky, and those are the things that would have priority in terms of going first.
I think also priority is like bang for your buck with staff time. Like if you can take a paper process and turn it into electronic and you save a whole bunch of staff time, then for me, that would move up on the priority.
Because that's reducing your financial risk.
Yeah, okay.
Increasing
Yeah.
efficiency, yeah.
Yeah.
So efficiency is there. It's not always cheaper. I just
Right.
wanna throw
Yeah.
that out there. The first year that, for instance, we took desktop printers,
Yeah.
we moved that, had centralized hubs, we saved a ton of money.
Mhm.
$50,000-$70,000 just on paper printing. So now we've kind of stabilized
Yeah.
from that, and what we're seeing, and we need to do it for the efficiency, but we're seeing increased costs because now people need Adobe licenses, that sort of thing. If you're gonna PDF, if you're gonna sign things. So there's definitely staff efficiencies. We need to move towards this, but I just wanna caution everybody to thinking that doesn't mean there's cost.
Yeah.
But also, it's just also the return on investment, isn't
Yes.
just cost saving,
That's
it's
right.
better customer service.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
There's those intangibles that
Right.
are calculated.
Right.
The customer experience is
follow,
priceless.
yeah.
People don't have to come in, if we can not bring their 3 copies. That's.
And if they are being serviced with more accuracy, the information that they're providing and
Consistent.
and the consistency and even the ability to, I've been crying and Renee gets the halo for the week, but because just the ability, and I even talking to Robert a couple of weeks, was trying to go on the website and find stuff in the planning department to find out from a consumer perspective, what's required and what's not, and where is it and where is it? It's an exercise in futility. So if you can, get more efficiency in things like that, it saves staff time and it makes the customers, the taxpayers much happier. Yeah.
Okay, so that is all our color coded things. I feel like we need to leave an opportunity if there's something that you as a single council member put on this list that you really want to advocate that the rest of us put in that prioritization column, now's your chance.
I feel like all of mine were covered and either it's already going or it's comp plan or it's already color coded, so I feel good about my list.
A lot of things are happening, compost, EV, grant out, and compost grant out right now. Stormwater plan. I like the last one. We're consistent with our decision making. It follows something. I don't know how we would prioritize that, but it's just.
And that
It's a
really,
reminder.
is that really about how we allocate resources, or really a message to us?
It's kind of a
Yeah.
message to us, yeah.
And that requires flexibility too. I mean, just sometimes.
Yeah.
Things just have to change.
Yeah.
And sometimes not. It just kind of depends on. Not driven by dissenting opinion, but what is possible.
Was that regarding the departments or just overall planning?
Yeah.
and development? I'm just curious what the.
Planning and development. Like comprehensive plan stuff.
Okay. Sorry, I was reading as planning and development departments, but
Decisions
the
we make
statements
are
could go
planning
overall
and
organizational.
Yes,
So,
yeah.
so maybe this is sort of when we get the comp plan, have this
Yes.
conversation as sort of a
Yes.
level setting mechanism. Yeah, okay.
The one that I think is vital, and I know we're in the process of doing it, but I think implementation of it would be the IT master plan. I think for security purposes, especially if we are gonna go paperless, it's just that much more vital. Workers in the future, I mean, currently and in the future are gonna wanna work remotely more and more.
We'll see. I mean, are we already working on an IT master plan?
We do, yes, but yes, trying to implement it and having the staffing needed to implement it too.
All the
Trying to
data,
implement it in
cloud.
Trying to not having enough staff to implement it, but
Yeah, because we really only have one full-time IT, right?
we have two full-time.
Yeah, that's a lot for, I mean, that's a lot of people for only two.
Well, it is, and Madam Mayor, I'm getting the face.
I didn't mean to be given whatever the face is. It's meant to be.
It was like,
However, we do have quite a few members of our police department and their families awaiting some promotion ceremonies. So do you,
Oh, no, I
you good?
just, yeah.
Okay, wanna make
Was there
sure.
cake involved?
Is that really? That's all? That's what
the priorities is why.
is
It's community decision making.
Is there anything else anyone wants to discuss? What I will propose, Neil, you will tell me if I cannot do this. Is that rather than waiting and like voting on this in the next, I don't think this requires a vote because everyone submitted their things. I'll just do a summary document, send it out. If you guys have wordsmithing you wanna do, I'll give you a deadline and then we can just turn it over. Is that
As long as
within-
we include Katie on it and archive the record, we're good.
We will do all those things.
And-
I include Katie on pretty much everything I ever said.
And I have to say, thank you,
Yes.
because that document must have taken years to pull together, so thank you for distilling all of us.
Just like, I was like,
Pleasure.
where's my paragraph that I sent? Oh, it's very nicely, it's succinctly stated in one phrase.
Sorry.
No, that's good.
Hopefully I translated appropriately. All right, so we all have 2 minutes if we want to start on
Where are
time.
you,
Maybe
Webster?
we'll start a couple minutes late, but let's get these promotions underway. Just so
Charleston,
everybody knows for planning, we will have closed.
King
tonight.
Street,
Paste, what's that?
King Street.
Yeah. Not far from it.
Writing notes and yelling over here. We're gonna have to separate All right, welcome to our November 19th council meeting. It's always a good council meeting when we have great things to celebrate as we start out. So we're going to get the roll call dispensed with so we can move on to some great recognitions.
Yes, Mayor. Mayor Arnold,
Here.
Councilmember Bliss. Here. Councilmember Franklin.
Here.
Councilmember Smith.
Here.
Councilmember Alexander.
Here.
Councilmember Hickson Shepherd.
Here.
Councilmember Hasselmeyer.
Here.
All right, I am going to ask our chief of police to come forward. He is going to run the show here as we get to celebrate through a promotion ceremony. I'm going to let you do well, actually, I think you're good. They're going to ask you for a microphone there. I think, do we have one of the handhelds over there? Not.
Check, check. It was on? Check, check, check. How you doing? Great. You guys hear me? Can you guys hear me? Do I need to be on the mic? Is it for the
It's
recording?
for the recording. So what we can do is just set that on top and turn it around. And that way I think we can go from there.
Chief, does the mic have a green light on it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think it's picking me up. It is? Okay.
Maybe you're delivering.
Could be, could be. Welcome and thanks for having us this evening. I'm Chief Vincent Aceves with the Webster Groves Police Department. I love the energy in the room tonight. We're going to do a couple of promotional or appointment ceremonies tonight. And we're going to start off with Josh Weber. Josh, can you come on up?
We're on the platform right away.
Emma, can you come on up? Can you pin your father, please? Awesome. Katie? So ladies and gentlemen, we're now going to swear Josh in as a captain of the Webster Groves Police Department.
A little bit of deja vu. Go ahead and raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Joshua M. Weber,
I, Joshua M. Weber,
do solemnly swear and hereby state
do solemnly swear and hereby state
that in my belief
that in my belief
I possess all the qualifications
that I possess all the qualifications
for the position of police captain
for the position of police captain
in the city of Webster Groves,
in the city of Webster Groves,
as required by the city
as required by the city
and as provided by the laws of the state of Missouri,
and as provided by the law of the state of Missouri,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the state of Missouri,
and the state of Missouri,
the provisions of all laws of the state of Missouri
the provisions of all laws of the state of Missouri
affecting the city of Webster Groves,
affecting the city of Webster Groves,
and the ordinances of the city of Webster Groves,
and the ordinances of the city of Webster Groves,
and that I will faithfully demean myself in office.
and I will faithfully demean myself in office.
Congratulations, Captain Josh Weber. I'd like to now call up Eric Weimer.
Well, pressure, isn't it?
Especially with Dad talking right there.
Awesome. Katie?
If you'd raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Eric C. Weimer,
I, Eric C. Wyman,
do solemnly swear and hereby state
do solemnly swear and hereby state
that in my belief
that in my belief
I possess all of the qualifications
that I possess all the qualifications
for the position of Assistant Police Chief
for the position of Assistant Police Chief
in the city of Webster Groves,
in the city of Webster Groves,
as required by the city
as required by the city,
and as provided by the laws of the state of Missouri,
and as, say again,
and as provided by the laws of the state of Missouri,
and as provided by the law of the state of Missouri,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
and the state of Missouri,
state of Missouri,
the provisions of all laws
the provisions of all laws
of the state of Missouri,
of the state of Missouri,
affecting the city of Webster Groves
affecting the city of Webster Groves
and the ordinances of the city of Webster Groves,
and the ordinances of the city of Webster Groves,
and that I will faithfully demean myself in office.
and that I will faithfully demean myself in office.
Okay.
Congratulations. Assistant Chief Eric Weimer.
Okay, yeah.
Like I said earlier, I love the energy in the room, and this is a great moment, not only for the Webster Groves Police Department, not only for Eric and Josh, but I think for the entire city of Webster Groves. We're doing some great things in the police department, and I think that Eric and Josh really exemplify that. The amount of work that these two gentlemen have put in over the last 5 months since I've been here is phenomenal. Your dedication to our core values of excellence, teamwork, and mentorship has been exceptional. You guys have been leading through your actions, and I have all the respect in the world for you guys. So I'm excited to be standing alongside you as we move into the next phase of this journey. I have a message for the families as well. These guys have tough jobs. They have heavy jobs. There's a lot of considerations, a lot of things going on in law enforcement right now. We have to do everything that we can to protect our people. As leaders, that means we have a lot of obligations. This first year, we're trying to shift our organization, trying to go in a slightly different direction, and that's tough to do. That means a lot of work. So this first year is going to be bumpy. It's going to be a lot of challenges. So what I'm asking from the families, from the friends, from the coworkers is this: continue to support Josh and Eric. Continue to give them grace. There's going to be days that they have that are bad days. There's going to be days that are good days. When those bad days come along, show them grace. They're going to succeed in this. We're going to get through this, and we're going to take this organization from good to great. There's going to be some bumps in the road, so be prepared for that. So I'll end with this. This has been a great journey so far. I'm looking forward to what's next. I have all the faith in the world in you guys, and I'm impressed by what you guys have done in the first 5 months of our relationship. I'm looking forward to what's next, and I want to congratulate you guys one more time. Congratulations on your promotion to captain. Congratulations on your promotion to assistant chief of police. Thank you, everyone.
I'm going to be really brief because I would mostly just echo exactly what the chief said. But I do want to say congratulations to you all. Your oath is probably 4 times longer than ours was. So you got through it. That's great. I have had the privilege of spending a lot of time lately with some high school students in Webster Groves and talking about what local government and city government does. And I always say the number one thing local government does is public safety, police and fire. And then my second sentence is, I really don't have to worry about that very much because we have such a great fire and police department. And so you two are emblematic of that belief and knowledge that our community is in great hands when it comes to safety and your public service. So I'll say congratulations on behalf of the entire council and the community of Webster Groves. And thank you so much for being here for us and everyone who lives in Webster Groves. And thank you also to your families for sending you all off to work every day and knowing that the job is hard, and as the chief said. So thank you all. And again, congratulations. The city clerk is having them sign their oath, so it's all official and everything. And in the meantime, I will say to all of those who are here at the meeting, we are so happy to have you with us. It's a wonderful occasion. And if you have things to celebrate that involve you not staying here right now, none of us would be offended at all. Well earned, well earned. Okay, I was gonna say we're gonna move on, but it's our city manager standing here talking to everyone. All right, we will continue on with our business for the evening. And next on our agenda are remarks of visitors. I see that I have a speaker's card from Mr. Dave Buck. Please come on forward.
Second.
I'm afraid.
Okay, Dave Buck, Colonial Village Apartments. I'm here to make good on a promise. And I appreciate your discussion in the work session on revenue. But the bottom line is there are a lot of more things that are much more important than money. And I want to share one of those today. I eat breakfast about 4 times a week. A little place called the Boardwalk Cafe. Everybody knows where it is. In fact, Brett, Sunday, 10 of you guys are in there chowing down, okay? This is Prince Ali, the highest, he's the owner. The cooks are Asa the Savior, Ari the Lionhearted, Hussein the Grower, Benny and the Jets. The staff are Ashley, Carrie, Julie, Delaney, and Valectoria, and they're just a great group. The reason I bring these guys up is for 3 reasons. Number one, this is Webster's Greasy Spoon. This is Webster's Hole in the Wall. This is Webster's Greasy Diner. It's really small. They serve large portions at low prices. And in fact, when inflation was really high, eggs were at the top of the list, the price of eggs in grocery stores. Eggs are their number 1 ingredient. And where everybody else was raising the prices, they held their prices the same because they wanted to protect their customers. And there are a lot of companies that could have shared by that. The other thing is that there's a war going on in the Middle East. Ali and all the cooks are from the Middle East. They're from Iran and from Iraq and from Pakistan. And all the servers are from America, but we all get along and we go in there and it's like a Cheers bar because they know everybody and they know everybody by name. And if you go in there, you may even hear me sing. Every morning this magical diner opens at 7. So warm and wonderful, it's like a little slice of heaven. Come to the Boardwalk Cafe today. For the best breakfast in town, there's just no other way. Ever hit it? Come to the Boardwalk. We are family. Come to the Boardwalk. With great Chef Ali, come to the Boardwalk. Cooks and staff having fun, come to the Boardwalk. Where we all are one, come to the Boardwalk Cafe. And the last thing I'm going to say is that Harvard University conducted an 85-year study on the subject of happiness. And the number one contributing factor to happiness are good, honest, direct relationships between human beings without the dependency or driven by technology or money. It's one-on-one relationships. This is what makes for a happy life. And I hope in your goals for next year, you think about happiness between people. Thank you.
Yay. So city clerk has just very graciously pointed out to me, I skipped a proclamation, and that is for Small Business Saturday. I think we will not read the entire proclamation. It still goes into effect, but we do have, Small Business Saturday is November 30th, 2024, and it will be celebrated here in Webster Groves, along with the National Recognition of Shop Small, which is on that same day. And when we do this every year, just so council knows, this means that our city is included in some national recognition of Small Business Saturday. So thank you very much for that. All right. We have some new business now, and I'm going to turn to the city manager to give us a bit of an update about flooding.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I am just going to kick it off. We have Interim Finance Director Gregory Donovan to share some of the financial updates, and then Deputy City Manager Renee Tyler is going to share some of the work progress across the departments. What I did want to share, we've been asked several questions, and I know council has as well, but that's about the buyout process for homes that were flooded. And so it's a challenging process to talk about and to understand all of the SEMA/FEMA rules. But as of today, we are not included in any of the emergency declarations that have been submitted on either statewide and on a federal basis. And that's because our county did not reach the damage threshold. The damage threshold for the county was around $4.3 million. That's based on a number of factors, population size, types of damage. So we did not achieve that level. That could change. They could change the threshold at a later date. So we're staying abreast of that information, but that's the most current as of now. So with that, Ms. Tyler, if you wouldn't mind speaking first to the work of Public Works and Planning, and then Mr. Donovan can follow up with some of the financial information. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Council. It's my pleasure to speak with you today, giving you an update on our flood event. We're going to talk about flood recovery assistance, dumpster placement, and just the removal of debris around the city. I'm really happy to report that all of our roads have been opened. The debris has been cleaned up. Our city looks really good. I want to thank Public Works for being very diligent in coordinating those efforts. We have also coordinated city dumpsters in the areas which were most affected by the floods. These areas are Tuxedo Street, Selma and Park, and Deer Creek Park. As of today, we have decided that initially we were setting the dumpsters out for 10 days, and the 10th day was Monday. But we had such an overwhelming response from our citizens. We're going to leave dumpsters out until next Wednesday. We're also adding an additional dumpster over at the Tuxedo area, because that was very highly impacted. And we've noticed that we just set one out and it got filled up very quickly. Now, I do understand that many of you received complaints from residents because the dumpsters were overfilled. Please note that it was stress. Everybody was using them, and Waste Management was servicing or is servicing the entire region. So therefore, they are stretched very thin. And I have to recognize them as well. Waste Management has worked with the city of Webster Groves. They have provided these dumpsters. They were Johnny on the spot when I spoke with them the morning of the 6th. They got the dumpsters out. And unfortunately, because of demand, they weren't able to service them last Friday, but they have been servicing them this week. And they
actually have worked with us to establish some very cost-effective measures for the city to add the additional dumpsters as well as tipping at no additional cost. So that's a huge thank you to them because it has definitely eased some of the burden that our residents and citizens are experiencing. The other update that I want to recognize, police and fire. They have collaborated with Public Works and really knocked it out the box. So that's a huge thank you. Lastly, Chiefs Aceves and Ellis were working with Tiara Thomas to compile recovery assistance, which should be on our site or our Facebook page. If it's not, it should be there soon. Again, giving our folks options for what they can do and who they can turn to as far as getting assistance in this flood. I want to thank you all also for your patience and when you've reached out to me and I've tried to get back to you as quickly as possible. Everybody was kind and patient. And for that, I want to thank each of you for that as well. That concludes my update. Do you all have any questions?
Ms. Tyler, before they ask you questions, I'm going to jump in. Planning department.
Oh, Planning Department. Yes. So that's actually an excellent update. The Planning Department had identified through citizens reaching out to them, approximately 55 structures. This past Saturday, they went out. I believe they visited 16 of the structures. They inspected them. They wrote them up, preparing for the information that we have to submit to FEMA that describes the amount of damage that people have sustained. As you know from the previous event in 2022, this is information that's needed because they have to report in order to report to their flood insurance companies and get assistance. We are still going forward. We are having to use a metrics that is a model published by FEMA for any of the citizens that did not get in touch with us. So planning is working diligently to get that information pulled together, and we will be reporting back to FEMA on that.
Thank you for sharing that. And I'm sure you all noted that Ms. Tyler shared that staff had been out on Saturday. They've been out on past couple of Saturdays canvassing. They're working in the evenings. We have a very limited planning staff. You all received an update this afternoon about closing to the public on Tuesdays. Some of that is so that staff can catch up on other planning, inspections, permitting, but it's also because they're out in the evenings and on the weekends. So happy to answer any questions about that. But it's been a pretty amazing job that on a lean staff across planning, public works, and of course, police and fire, all of our departments have really pulled together.
Can I just ask a FEMA question? I think it's an easy FEMA question. So you said we're reporting things to FEMA, but we're not eligible for FEMA assistance. Is that right? Like, so we do still have to report to them
Yes.
on these damages.
That's correct.
But at this point in time, within St. Louis County, we're not eligible for FEMA assistance.
That's correct.
It's correct. And there's a couple of word nuances. I don't mean to be picky. We don't have to. This is at the residents' request for their flood insurance programs, the canvassing that the planning staff are doing. So pretty different from the buyouts. And we've had questions on both. And I think that's where it gets confusing.
So we are reporting to FEMA at resident request only? Is that how it works, or?
For the flood insurance program at resident request. At this point in time, and I don't want to overspeak. Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
No, that is correct. It's for the flood insurance. So we have reached out, and that's part of how we identified the 55 structures. Everyone hasn't responded. So we're receiving responses. In order for them to be eligible to claim flood damage, we have to substantiate the fact that, yes, they did.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
May I ask a question? The office is being closed on Tuesday. Is that a temporary closure until we're all caught up again and then things will go back to standard operation?
We're
Right now-
planning on doing that right now through February.
Okay.
Yep.
So it is temporary, and hopefully that will allow for us to add some additional staffing, to do some staff training, but honestly, just for staff to be able to breathe. They will still be working on Tuesdays. It's just going to be closed to walk-ins and.
Thank you.
This is also an opportunity for them to prepare for the end of this year. There are a lot of files, hundreds, probably thousands of files that need to be retired. So those files need to be taken out of planning and placed into storage. They're also doing scanning, they're digitizing files. So a lot of this work, they cannot do during the normal business hours. Those phones ring. The window is also extremely busy. So this is, and thank you, Dr. Peoples, because this was her idea, her suggestion. This is a way for them to catch up.
All right, thank you. We're gonna hear from,
Mr. Donovan,
yep,
please.
okay.
Good evening, everyone. I placed at your spot some information sheets, and Councilmember Smith, I'll be sure that you get this in email after we're done with the meeting. So there are two sets of data on here. I'm going to actually start at the bottom, and one of the requests that I was asked to fulfill was to compile all the costs that we know so far related to overtime and hours. And as of right now, for the data that I have, only what I have recorded is 13 overtime hours from the police department with a $608.51 cost. Public Works, this is evolving. So there's more information that is going to follow from both planning as well as Public Works to gather that information. We did not have any police or Parks and Recreation overtime hours during the flood event. And then I noted on their regular hours that were reported back to me. So for the fire department, they spent 139 and a half people hours on the event. Planning 18 was what was reflected back to me so far, and Parks and Recreation 35 hours. Again, don't know. Well, Public Works, police were out and involved as well. So, and during the different events, they had an evacuation call for assistance, and as well as the fire department had a few of those as well. And so that's that bottom piece. So I'll stop there and see if you have any questions related to that portion. And then let me stop.
Oh, please go ahead.
Okay. The top part has been compiled and their estimates at this point by Mr. Davis and Parks and Recreation. The approximate amount of damage that has been done to both Deer Creek Park and some damage that was experienced due to the current construction process that is going on with relation to our water park, because the excavation had started there. So that's actually the last line item on there where it says Aquatic Center. There was the torrential force of the rain washed out some dirt and other things about near the retaining wall by the tennis courts. So that was also experienced. The rest of the damage was done down at Deer Creek Park. And as you can see, the sum total of it all is estimated to $272,000. And this was relayed to the county as part of their request or reporting to FEMA as to what the damages were in the city of Webster Groves as it relates to our assets. So just wanted to share that with you. I know that Mr. Davis had expressed to me some of his own ideas, but I don't want to about what might the future of Deer Creek Park may be in terms of the assumption being that this is not going to be, it would be nice to think that this was going to be the last flood events down at Deer Creek, but probably not. This is the second one since I've been here, and I've only been here 2 years and change. So I'm sure that those conversations will occur at a later date. However, we wanted to share this information with you, and it will continue to evolve and be updated as we continue to find out more information.
Mr. Donovan, if I
Yep.
could. So putting aside Deer Creek Park, I am a little concerned about the retaining wall at behind the tennis courts. Is there any risk of damage to the tennis courts currently, do you know?
Mr. Davis says no, it's just that it needs to be backfilled and secured in order for that, but he did not believe there's going to be any damage or concerns related to the court itself.
Do you know off the top of your head, and I know I'm just asking a random question here, how much money we have left in the money that we put aside for flood buyouts?
Off the top of my head, we have approximately, I believe, $300,000. So although some of that money is going to be going towards the dumpsters and other remediation efforts that we have. So final calculations are to come. We are tracking it at this point, but the initial estimate was that after the buyouts and the costs associated with that, we would have about 300,000 left over for other things.
Thank you very much.
Oh, go ahead.
Is there any accumulative damage from the previous flood, or did we have something similar to this with the previous one and now it's occurred all over again, basically eliminating whatever improvements were done because of the last?
You're spot on, Councilmember. So we repaired, and then some of it was assisted with FEMA. So we got money back or not money back, but we got money from the federal government to support the improvements that we made. One thing that I know for certain is, and I haven't had the chance to walk Deer Creek Park since this has happened, but for instance, the backstop fence for the baseball field that had been completely replaced after the last flood, and now it needs to be replaced again if we're going to continue to have a baseball field there at the park. So the infield, the soil replacement, the outfield redo, because of the debris and the mud and everything that comes up because of the creek floods, we have to redo the entire field. I do know that we did all of that last time.
But did we do a $150,000 creek bank stabilization?
I'm not sure that, I don't recall us doing something that substantial. So again, I'm not specifically familiar with the damage done this time. This was his estimate. So I don't believe that we did not invest that amount of money last time in terms of stabilizing the creek bed. So it may have been that the damage was different in the way the water flowed this time. I'm not exactly sure. So Mr. Davis question. I don't mean to punt. I want to be sure that
That's fair.
That's fair. Like, exactly. Yeah.
It seems odd that with our damages at $270,000 just on the city side, not counting houses, but the county as a whole, it didn't reach that 4.2 million. Was it so localized here, or do you know, like?
I don't know the answer to
Because
that.
2 years ago was like everywhere got hammered, but.
I wanted to just know, the pedestrian bridge, is that 100%, are we 100% responsible for that? Is GRG involved, or?
we are not. The Green Rivers Gateway is involved with that as well. So when I walked the flood with the FEMA representatives last time, we noticed that there was a lot of the debris gets stuck there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there were concerns about destabilization of the bridge itself. And so we took the responsibility of putting out barricades and things like that to try to keep people off of the bridge until it could be determined that it was worthy, still structurally sound and everything like that. So to that extent, that's really the limit. From what I understand, that's the limit of our responsibility. We addressed that initially with the flood, but in terms of monetary and things like that, we're still not fully responsible for the bridge.
All right, other questions? All right, thank you very much to both of you. It was very helpful. And let me just reiterate to the fire department, to the police department, We've got a lot of chiefs and directors in the room. So to our Public Works Department as well as our Parks and Recreation Department. And we actually don't think about the other departments like finance that end up doing work with these things that are related as well. But so from getting people out of very dangerous situations very quickly to helping us figure out what it's going to do to move forward. I think I can say we are all very grateful for the work that you've been doing. So thank you for that. All right, Councilmember Hasselmeyer, how about if you call for the third reading of Bill number 9272?
Yes, Madam Mayor, I'd like to call for the third and final reading of Bill number 9272 and its subsequent adoption.
Second. Bill 9272, third and final reading. An ordinance granting a lot split subdivision at 2801 Breckenridge Industrial Court, Zoned E, Industrial District.
Is there any discussion? I just want to take a moment to thank our deputy city manager, our city clerk, people in finance. We've heard a lot from one of the members of this transaction to try and get this done quickly. And I know you've all worked hard to do that. So thank you for that. I think we can have the vote.
Yes, Mayor. Councilmember Bliss?
Yes.
Councilmember Franklin?
Yes.
Councilmember Smith?
Yes.
Councilmember Alexander?
Yes.
Councilmember Hickson Shepherd?
Yes.
Councilmember Hasselmeyer?
Yes.
Mayor Arnold?
Yes. Council, is there anyone who would like to remove our one item? No, I guess we have two items from the consent agenda. All right, Councilmember Alexander, would you call for its approval, please?
Councilmember Franklin?
Yes.
Councilmember Smith?
Yes.
Councilmember Alexander?
Yes.
Councilmember Hickson Shepherd?
Yes.
Councilmember Hasselmeyer?
Yes.
Mayor Arnold?
Yes.
Councilmember Bliss?
Yes.
All right, we have reappointed Randy Sprague to the Board of Adjustment. And we will need a motion for a closed session. Councilmember Bliss, could you do that for us, please?
Absolutely. I'd like to call for an executive closed session related to attorney-client privileged communications, Missouri Statute 610.021 subsection 1, and real estate, Missouri Statute 610.021 subsection 2.
Second.
Councilmember Smith?
Yes.
Councilmember Alexander?
Yes.
Councilmember Hickson Shepherd?
Yes.
Councilmember Hasselmeyer?
Yes.
Mayor Arnold?
Yes.
Councilmember Bliss?
Yes.
Councilmember Franklin?
Yes.
All right. Thank you all for joining us this evening.
Okay. See you in a minute, Emerson.
Okay, Kate, thank you.